María Corina Machado.
Thank you very much. I don't know my government's reaction, but I'm going to tell you mine. My reaction is that I was really hoping that she will win the physics Nobel, the Nobel of Physics, because she has the same credentials for the Nobel of Physics that for the Peace Nobel. I mean, I guess that next year maybe she wins the physics Nobel.
And another question about relations with the United States. Has Venezuela asked for any kind of mediation with the United States to de-escalate the situation?
Of course, we welcome all kind of mediations and mediators, everything that is done by peaceful means to bring down the tempers and with calm and cool heads resolve this matter. We welcome them. And in fact, there are countries who are offering themselves to work in that way. But we welcome them all.
Have you asked any specific people organization to mediate?
Well, we even asked the United Nations to participate in that is one of them. But some of those countries and authorities who have offered themselves, they rather stay, in a discreet manner instead of on the open, exposing themselves to something that we don't need them to do.
Based on your testimony and the narrative you presented in the Security Council, it seems like you're saying that the U.S. has been targeting your country for many, many years. So why do you think they chose to do this action now during the Trump administration and not before during the Biden administration?
I think we have been under attacks for the last 25 years. Remember that in 2002 there was a coup d'etat against President Chavez. It was directed by the United States. They recognized that themselves. Remember that in 2015 President Obama declared, issued an executive order declaring Venezuela a threat to their national security for no reason. 10 years later, we haven't seen any evidence that we are a threat to the United States. But under that executive order, which is still in force, they have been working against us. Remember that they created Mr. Juan Guaido, and they created a parallel government, a puppet government that 60 countries, even European countries, recognize as the legitimate president of Venezuela. Remember that they have executed more than 1,000 unilateral coercive measures trying to kill us by hunger and disease. And during the coronavirus pandemic, they made everything possible to stop us from getting vaccines and medicines. There is what they call a hybrid war going on against us for the last 20 years. But now, I think that as they have failed in all those efforts, they are coming for the hot war. Going for the full invasion or full military attack. And we think that, yes, there are sectors in the United States government that they think that they can do it, but it's better for them to recalibrate their ambitions and see that it's not going to affect only Venezuela, it's going to affect the whole region. And it's going to be a mess. And I think it's better for these hot-headed advisors to put in perspective what they are actually doing. As I told you, for more than 200 years, we have had no wars. But that means that we are ready to defend our country against anyone who dares to attack us.
How do you think that this attack will unfold? Inside the council, you did not receive...
Let me just answer that. How do I think that this
attack will unfold?
No, I have no idea. They are the ones perpetrating the crime. I just can guess. And that's a matter for preparations. It's not for me. I am not the military commander of Venezuela. But based on the experience of how they have behaved against other countries, we have more or less an idea that what they are trying to do. But I think it's going to be a catastrophe. So outrageous, out of any kind of parameters, nothing to do with the region and our history of the history of the last invasion, the United States invasion, by the way, was the Panama invasion. Before that was the Grenada invasion, 1983. And I can go back until the 19th century. But we thought that we had overcome those times and we had in a new era. But we're going back to the naked Monroe Doctrine and the corollary Roosevelt of the Monroe Doctrine, where they declare themselves international policemen. And I think that's wrong. Wrong even for the United States. I am absolutely sure, because I live here, working here, that the people of the United States are not part of this scheme. They do not want another war, and even less against Venezuela. And based on this fact, that it's a war against the opinion of the American people, we believe that there will be growing voices asking for another way to resolve this matter.
Mr. Ambassador, inside the chamber, you got clear support only from a few members of the Council. So how disappointed are you that your call for support was not heard?
Surprisingly, I am happy to hear that it was just not the usual suspects, Russia, China, Algeria, which are our very good friends. But more than that, there were at least 3 or 4 more other countries that they went not for Venezuela, they went for international law. Because it's outrageous to support the killing of civilians in high seas of international waters without any evidence. There are extrajudicial killings. I mean, the United States are bound to international law because they are a civilized country. It's not possible that a new government comes on and says, I'm going to get rid of any international law tie because I have the power to do so. All the supreme might of the United States Army is only respected around the world if it works within a lawful framework. Out of that is tyranny. It's a tyranny against the whole world.
Ambassador, do you believe that the U.S. attack against Venezuela is imminent?
We believe that they are preparing themselves. I mean, you cannot sustain this kind of mobilization and display for 2 years. They have to act shortly. That's the logic, the military logic. There are costs, there are plans, and there are opportunities, and that's why I'm coming here, because we believe that they are thinking something to do in this very same year. I don't know exactly when, but I'm not a magician, or I don't have the power to or divination, but it's obvious that they are trying to do something. Yesterday they were in Trinidad with a very, very, very heavy equipment, airplanes, helicopters, ships, military ships, etc. And Trinidad is just 12 kilometers from Venezuela, imagine that. So what they are doing that for is not something distant in time. I think it's very close. They are coming closer and closer and closer. And the excuse is ridiculous, nothing to do with drugs. We know it's nothing to do with drugs. They are coming for an invasion. They are trying to take away our country and turn us into a colony.
Ambassador, you cited the Charter several times during your address in the Security Council. What exactly do you think that the UN can do to stop this?
Well, there are forces.
Doesn't that embolden the U.S. to attack you?
The Secretary of State said that he doesn't give a damn about the UN, doesn't give a damn about the Charter. The Vice President said even something worse. I'm not going to repeat it. But the idea is that we know that the rest of the country is not like that. And we know that in Congress, in the media, on the streets, people are not pushing for war. We know that. So we believe that that can counterbalance the wrong-headed people, and rationality may win this time. But it's uncertain, the result. The outcome is still uncertain. We are fighting diplomatically to convince people we do not want war. Endless wars are not good for anyone. That's our message. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.